Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil and inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is out on assignment. Usually we have our dear friend A.D. Drew. He's also out on assignment, transitioning as he told you all he's ready for basketball season, which means you got basketball work to do, which is played during the week. With that being said, we have another, if you're saying the other, which is Wilton Jackson II, giving us his time and his cordiality as the young brother always does. Appreciate you, Wilton. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, Doc. Like I said, another week of football. We got championship games this week. It's crazy because
you gotta liven up, man. You sound like you got beat up all day, man. We don't.
No.
You can show a little flavor. Mike's not here. Mike's not here. You good?
Hey, you know what? It's just cold outside. Like we ain't used to be this. I need to.
I wonder what it had to be something. All right, that makes sense. I'll let you make it then.
It's a little cold outside, so you know what I'm saying.
Like you're absolutely right.
It's cold, but we get into some championship games this week. I mean, it's so much to be glad about. A lot of things going on in the world too. So, like I said, just here for another week of good college football.
Good stuff, man. We glad to have you. See, Charles, I tried to give Wilton a little love, and he can't go first no more. Charles, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Doc. I want to shout out my media relations class. They're doing sort of a dual thing. They're doing a road to the Celebration Bowl, so they're following the teams in the MEAC and the SWAC in terms of who's on the road to the Celebration Bowl, and then their final project, of course, is to write a good SWOT analysis on the Celebration Bowl itself. But they did a good job breaking down the tiebreakers and all sorts of things today. So I thought we had a really, really good class. So
yeah, I like that. Good stuff. Great job, Professor.
Hey, we tried.
That's the unique thing we do with our sport management program. We provide you with all the information you need in terms of sport management perspective, but we hone in with a special interest of focusing on HBCU athletics. So that's really fascinating. Dr. Flowers that does the graduate, she also makes sure that we have an angle with looking at gender, Title IX components of sport management. So you get a different perspective when you come to Texas Southern University. With that being said, let me do it appropriate. Welcome to episode 739 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU diaspora, all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small. From the NEIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. As I told you, Wilton Jackson II is joining us today to give us the insight. And later on the second half of the show, we'll bring in the D2 HBCU guru, one of the two that we know, which is Stephen A. Gaither, to give you some breakdown, his perspective on what he thinks of the poll, and take maybe a deeper dive in terms of these D2 HBCU championship games. Fascinating to see what they look like in terms of the top matchups. We'll see again what that is. Well, we're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KSWH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer that is, Ralph Cooper, in a beautiful home at Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. Today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THD Agency. THD Agency is a company that provides sporting, educational consulting, and data analytics. With that being said, I want to get in a little bit of the news talking about Steve Gaither and HBCU Game Day. put the information out there. HBCU power move causes NCAA playoff contender controversy in a way. A decision by Kentucky State University, I should say. HBCU, as you all know, changed the final regular season opponent. It sparked a little bit of controversy in NCAA Division II football that has also exposed cracks in one of the sport's once proud leagues. Kentucky State, 8-2, currently number 6 in NCAA Super Region 2, was originally scheduled to travel to face Delta State, 7-3, ranked number 7 in Mississippi, for those that don't know, in a pivotal Week 11 matchup. However, the school has amended its schedule instead to host Shorter University, prompting Delta State, I should say, head coach Todd Cooley to blast the move in an article published by Football Scoop. They are supposed to be coming to Cleveland this weekend to play us, and they're not. They're playing Shorter. It's setting a precedent shouldn't be set. Let me give you a little more insight on this for folks that are not aware. HBCU conferences had an agreement in 2023. The decision is not without precedent. In fact, it stems from a former agreement between HBCU-based Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, SIAC, and the emerging Conference Carolinas League, which we talked about. AD made sure that everybody that watched us knew this at the beginning of the season. You might have forgot. It's been a while, so I understand that. But we have told you this. It was posted out there on HBCU Game Day as well. 2 conferences signed a football scheduling alliance. We actually had the commissioner on, Dr. Holloman, that said it also in terms of some of the highlights he was talking about, what made him excited about this season, as you see. The alliance, December 23rd, that ensured non-championship qualifying teams would face off in Week 11 to boost the NCAA postseason resume and avoid long, costly trips. Per the agreement, participating schools must be above 500, must not exceed 11 regular season games, and cannot be required to travel more than 500 miles. With other Conference Carolina options out of range or ineligible, 2-8 Shorter was selected to face Kentucky State. Dr. Anthony Holloman addressed crowd at SIAC Football Media Day, as you just saw then, that gave you this update then, and then, as I said, came on the show. But specifically, SIAC Commissioner Dr. Anthony Holloman was clear. The decision was protecting student athletes, maximizing playoff potential. Quote, as a commissioner of the SIAC, I am unapologetic advocate for my member institutions, end quote. Holloman said we want to play for championships, and we want to get as many deserving teams in the NCAA playoffs as possible. He pushed back on the accusation that Kentucky State was dodging competition. It wasn't about playing the worst team. Holloman added, we created the partnership to avoid what Kentucky State and Delta State had initially agreed to. Kentucky State would have been on the bus for 8 hours. This was a strategic decision, not malicious one, end quote. Gulf South Conference on the ropes. A little bit about them. What made this challenging for them is the conflict also shines a light on the Gulf South Conference shrinking footprint. Once a powerhouse in D2 football, the GCS has been decimated in realignment, NCAA Division I transition. It now features only 4 football playing members: Delta State, Valdosta State, West Alabama, West Florida. With just 3 opponents, Delta State's path to a strong strength of schedule and quality wins is increasingly narrow, making the Kentucky State game sting even more, especially after they lost 27-23 to Valdosta State. After being 21-3 on Saturday, we know now Valdosta State previous coaches at Prairie View, that's Coach Jackson. So not only are they losing members, they also lost a fine coach there to the benefit, I must add, of Prairie View A&M University, I should say. Glad to see that. So just wanted to put a little bit of that out there as HBCU League continues to innovate. I have preview to know that they have some other things on the table that CIAA and SIAC are working on in terms of further partnerships with just each other, as well as partnerships with the MEAC and SWAC. So look for more to come. These commissioners are serious about continuing to provide updates of what that looks like. So excited to see that going on. Wanted to put that in the table. I had somebody that directly texted me earlier today, wanted us to discuss that, both from a fan as well as administrator. So I thought it was important to make sure I got that out there, as well as a media source. So I think we did our job. With that, I'll share the airtime and move on. Charles, What is your thoughts on the news of the day?
Yeah, well, SIAC busy in the news today. Not only did they have football weekly honors, but they also announced their 2025 all-conference honors. So I definitely want to shed light on that as we take a look at our all-conference members. Albany State places 3 on the offensive line. Noah Stovall, Leon Wesley, and O'Shea Stroman along the offensive line. Daniel Bostic for Kentucky State. Also all-conference honors on the offensive line, as well as Chance Bush from Allen. The tight end is Maurice Vini from Morehouse. Your wide receivers are Armani Harris and Darian Cyprian, representing Clark and Kentucky State representatively. Running backs are Fabian Allen from Duncan, Jontarius Thomas from Edward Waters. Your quarterback is Isaiah Knowles from Albany State. Along the defensive line is Israel Nwanka from Benedict, Amari Fleming from Allen, Derek Drayton from Albany State, and Xavier Eskillian from Savannah State. Your linebackers are Dominic Davis from Central State, Isaiah Stevens from Benedict, Darian Bell from Savannah State, and your defensive backs, Michael King from Tuskegee, Darnell Stevens from Fort Valley State, Navy Curry from Kentucky State, Travian Searcy from Central State. Your kicker is Lorcan Ryans from Tuskegee, punter Colton Ford from Benedict. Your punt returner, Dante Curry Jr. from Fort Valley State, and your kick returner is Jackson Williams from Benedict. So all those players, first team, all SIAC honors.
Great, and congratulations to all those SIAC honors for this last week. Ultimately, we'll see even more in terms, for many of them, a great season. Certainly for all of them, hard work that they did over this season. A couple of more games, though, and we'll play that out and see what that looks like. Go ahead, Charles.
Yeah, overall MVP for the SIAC this past season was Fabian Duncan from Allen, the Offensive Player of the Year, Isaiah Knowles from Albany State, Defensive Player of the Year, Dominic Davis from Central State, Freshman of the Year, Xavier Jackson from Clark. He also was a Newcomer of the Year, and the Coach of the Year in the SIAC, Felton Hudson Jr. from Kentucky State.
Yeah, I can see that. Great pick in terms of the expectation coming in and what he got done. Albany State had a great one. Could see why you would go in that direction, but certainly Kentucky State coach is deserving. With that being said, let me go to Wilton Jackson the second to see what's on his mind in terms of news of the day.
So, Doc, I'm going to get into the CIAA Players of the Week. We're going to start with quarterback Joe Owens Jr. from Fayetteville State. Owens was calm, confident, and in complete control of Fayetteville State's offense from start to finish. The senior signal caller completed 18 of 24 passes for 195 yards and a touchdown while rushing for 39 yards on 6 carries, including a 19-yard burst that kept the chains moving in key moments. Most impressive was his composure in the pocket. He had 0 sacks, no interceptions, and complete efficiency. Owens' decision-making and dual-threat ability guided the Broncos to one of their most well-executed offensive outings of the season. Specifically, when you start talking about offensive backs and running backs, Traquan Johnson had one of the most dominant rushing performances of the season, powering Elizabeth City State's 7-30 victory over Bluefield State. The junior running back from St. Petersburg, Florida, rushed for 192 yards and 5 touchdowns on just 20 carries, averaging a staggering 9.6 yards per carry. He had an incredible performance. In terms of wide receivers, Davion Reed from Livingstone College. Reed turned in a career day for the Blue Bears in their rivalry matchup against Johnson C. Smith, posting 156 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. His explosiveness was on full display, hauling in an 80-yard score and later striking again with a 65-yard touchdown reception. In terms of defense, one of the defensive standouts was Lumumba Howard for Virginia Union University. He's a linebacker. Howard was absolutely everywhere for the Panthers in their win against Virginia State. The senior linebacker recorded 15 tackles, 1 sack, and several key stops that halted Virginia State drives. His physical presence in the middle of the defense earned him defensive MVP honors and helped Virginia Union complete a perfect conference season. In terms of special teams, you had Shamar Sutton from Elizabeth City State University. Sutton made an immediate statement in ECSU's win over Bluefield State, returning the opening kickoff 100 yards for a touchdown to ignite the crowd and swing momentum from the very first play. His return was the spark that fueled the Vikings' 70-point explosion and showcased his speed and field vision. Sutton's performance was a reminder of how critical special teams can be in changing the course of a game.
Great point. Very good point. Congratulations to all those players of the CIAA. Well deserved, as I said. Great week and great season for some. Still, some of them have a little special action going on called championship games, and we'll get that directly into those matchups at the end of the show. But with that being said, let's take our first break. We'll come back on the other side, get into some superlatives. We'll see if some of those same superlatives in terms of the weeks are what you want to acknowledge in terms of Big Ben helmet sticker, or if you want to go in a different direction in terms of the full season, I can see that as well. But we'll also talk about the ledge. How many folks have pivoted to basketball is the colloquium that Charles has kind of added to it, or maybe ADU added that to Charles's ledge. But I think Charles was one of the first out there to talk about, at least in terms of getting to know your point guard, is the way he made sure that he referenced it. Other folks understood what he said and brought into basketball, but Charles was poignant with the point guard. I thought that was hilarious. With that being said, Wilton, let's take our first break and come back on the other side and do just that and talk about any other games that stood out to you at the Division II mid-major level, as we like to call it. Only thing I will add at the end of this segment was unfortunate for the most part. I think we had 1 week where we got to look at Florida Memorial during the season. Obviously, we acknowledged all the teams, top 21. It included actually all 3 NAIA programs. But at the end of the year, other than that 1 week where we had a little blip from Memorial until they had their loss, the NIE has kind of disappeared in terms of the HBCU programs. You know, used to hear quite a bit about Langston. We got a good surprise last year about Texas College. And then Florida Memorial was always in the mix, it seems, as well over the last couple of years. But all of them, I should say, for the most part, having down years. So hopefully we get to talk a little bit more about them. Wanted to at least acknowledge them in terms of not being able to do it for this season. Take our first break, come back on the other side. We'll give you some more information about the mid-major division in 2025.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a state, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU.
College football fans, the Cricket Celebration Bowl is celebrating 10 years of crowning an HBCU national champion. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 13th as the MEAC and SWAC champions clash in Atlanta. Join us for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Ville's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I did want to add this additional note before we jump into some of your further thoughts. You know, HBCUsports.com has been doing a great job in terms of most attended games, getting top 10 every week, no matter, as long as it included 8 HBCUs. But this week 11, 2 of the top 3 were mid-major programs. Yeah. They were their rivalry games, but they did really well, particularly when you look at Albany State and Fort Valley State with 40,175 was the count.
Yeah.
Sandwiched in between them is Alabama State, that is having one of its best seasons in a long time, which makes sense. They had 17,625. Shout out to them. But then the third top-ranked team was Virginia Union, Virginia State for their rivalry matchup. They got over 15,000 fans, 15,165 to be exact. So shout out to them in terms of what that looks like. We'll talk about the rest of the top in the major division on Thursday, but I wanted to make sure we highlighted the mid-major programs, particularly when they make a statement in terms of attendance. Good job. Great job. One out of the SIAC, one out of the CIAA. Obviously, all these teams, except for Fort Valley, were in contention in terms of playing for their representative championship in their conference. So, that being said, let me go back to you all as the stars of the show, I will say, professors getting it done. What were your thoughts in terms of what game stood out to you this past weekend and why? Starting with you, Wilton.
I think for me, you have to go obviously with that Virginia Union, Virginia State. Really, the talk was all about, Curtis Allen getting over that 2,000-yard rushing mark, and he absolutely did it. Obviously, close game, not a very high-scoring game, which I don't think any of us expected it to be high-scoring, very physical. But to see him go past 2,000 yards and to think that how many times we talked about Jada Byers and his impact for their program over the last couple of years, and to see him go over 2,000 yards, I was like, man, this dude is incredible. Just being able to watch him, run the way that he was able to run, and just the season that Dr. Alvin Parker has been able to put together. And the Virginia Union Panthers find their way back into a CIAA championship game, potentially to be able to win their third CIAA title. So this is really big. Just to see where this program is, and kudos to Curtis Allen. I mean, just again, how many times we've talked about him throughout this season and what he's been able to do.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations. Great points made there. As you said, 2,000. I want to shout out to that coach, the head coach. Obviously, Doc getting it done over there in the running backs coach. And whoever's recruiting these guys, if it's not one of them, I'm sure they do some of the final components of it. But whoever has their eye for this talent, and I hate to push them away, quote unquote, from Virginia Union, but the next level of the major,
it's coming.
Somebody needs to kind of be like,
it's coming.
We missed it last year. Can we afford to miss it again?
No.
It's somebody who's at the bottom of the rankings in the SWAC that ain't got no running attack. It's like, how come y'all ain't go up there and go do it?
It's coming. This time is coming.
I would imagine so. Let me go to you, Charles.
Well, I think the game that stood out for me is taking a look at Savannah State and Benedict. Just the fight that Benedict had with Savannah State to get to the championship game, 7-7 through 4 quarters, and they had to outlast them in double overtime. So shout out to Benedict. I mean, it started under Chennisberry, but it's continued. So they got some championship pedigree going lately.
Great point. And could you imagine being a fan at that game? the ups and downs, and to pull it off at the end and know what was on the other side. And shout out to Savannah State. You know, at the end of the season, they didn't mail it in. They didn't have a great season, solid season in some ways. Mm-hmm. But you're talking about pushing through, because you have to remember the week before had a heck of a matchup with Albany State. So you're talking about one of the toughest teams are playing their best football in terms of now what we see is the best two teams, arguably, or at least the top two teams that finished first and second in terms of the schedule. They played both of them tough. So I want to give Savannah State some love, and great points made by both of you. Let's go on and push forward a little bit and look at in terms of where you are with the helmet sticker. You want to talk a little bit about the helmet sticker? You may have teased this out, so you can double back if you just want to re-acknowledge them. But if you have somebody else, Charles, let me know where you're going with your official Big Ben helmet sticker in week number 10 of the mid-major division.
Well, AD is not here, but let me show some love to his quarterback, Miles Scott from Morehouse. Huge game. He goes 20 of 41, 344 yards, and 4 touchdowns in a losing effort. So wanted to show some love to Morehouse and Miles Scott. They had a nice run in there during the course of the season, kind of tailed off toward the end. But hopefully, you know, it is something that they can build on going into next season. But that was a heck of a performance. That was one of the ones that kind of caught my eye out there.
Good stuff. Congratulations to Morehouse and the young man. Outstanding campaign, particularly as a freshman. With that, Wilton, what do you want to do with your helmet sticker? Who gets the Big Ben helmet sticker week number 10? Not to be confused with week number 11, Brian. And shout out to Brian. I think he finally got it right on the show. He acknowledged week 10 and week 11. I was waiting for Brian. Go ahead.
No, I think I'll go back to one of the players that was spotlighted in the CIAA Players of the Week, Joe Owens from Fayetteville State. They really did have one of the better offensive outings of the year this year. I read the stats when I was giving the players, but I like the way that they played and the way that he executed the offense for Fayetteville State.
I understand. A great job in terms of a helmet sticker for the segment that a lot of folks have come to enjoy the most, which is Charles is on the ledge. Who's on the ledge now? As we officially essentially close out on at least the regular season campaign for the mid-major portion of the season. Who are you putting on the ledge and why?
That was a tough one this week. And I you know, after kind of looking at, you know, all the teams in terms of who will be playing in the championship game this upcoming weekend, in light of what you said earlier, Delta State about to be on the list.
Yep.
That's pretty good. That's a great point.
Yeah, I had to stop thinking. Like, you know what? That's a good ledge candidate.
If the fans ain't on the ledge, we know the coach is.
Exactly.
He's on the ledge and having a few choice words. Wilton, your thoughts?
For me, I think when I was watching this game at halftime, the Winston-Salem State game, I know Steve coming on. I know he's coming on the show later on, but man, when I tell you, I thought when I saw them leading at halftime, I said, okay, you know, with all the changes going on, you know, new AD that'll come in and some other things going on. But I said to myself, when I saw the final score and saw some of the second half, I said, man, they lost again. And I'm just like, yeah. They on the ledge. I thought about it in my head. I said, you know, Charles at AD, I'm like, they on the ledge for real. Now they hanging on like this. I'm gonna do one better than you. Stephen Gaither officially pushed the coach off the ledge.
He did.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Poor coach. Coach worked hard. Then for a rich traditional program like that, it wasn't quite good enough. So certainly can understand that, but wish coach the best. We're not joking at your demise. We're certainly just acknowledging the time and space that we're in. With that being said, we'll take our last break. Not our last break, our second break, I should say. Come back on the other side. I was saying last without Stephen. We should be having Stephen Gaither join us in this next segment. So let's take this next break and do just that. Bring him back on the other side.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Planning an event? From weddings to corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC brings over 15 years of experience to make your vision a reality. Based in Metro Atlanta and serving statewide, even internationally, we provide versatile event planning and authentic catering cuisines tailored to your needs. Whether it's pre-game meals for student athletes, fundraisers, weddings, corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC is your one-stop solution for exceptional service and unforgettable food. Our diverse culinary heritage means we cater to all cultural taste, dietary needs, and food restrictions, making every meal uniquely yours. Let's make your next event unforgettable. Visit us on all social media at CMJ Events LLC or email us at cmjeventsllc@gmail.com. Also give us a call at 404-664-3882 so that we can start planning now.
College football fans, a champion will rise in Atlanta on December 13th. MEAC champion, SWAC champion, the 10th Cricket Celebration Bowl, crowning an HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
ESPN Events presents Red Lobster Band of the Year. Returning to Atlanta on December 12th, 4 bands will qualify for the big stage, where 2 national champions will be crowned. Follow us for rankings updates throughout the season, and join us on December 12th for event and ticket information.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We have none other than Stephen A. Gaither, a Ram New Day. Oh,
Coach Killer.
Is this how you feeling? Yeah, Coach. Yeah. He put off the ledge. We talk about the ledge. He lied. Bye.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
We were heavy as the head that wears the crown. With that being said, let's get into something a little more positive. We're going to look into the top 7 list and have Steve join Charles and Wilton and tell us exactly what he thinks. And then when we get into the last segment, we're going to take a deeper dive in these CIAA matchups, SIAC championship games that we have. But let's get into it. Let's talk about those teams. This is last week's poll, week number 9. Great job. This is week number 9 polls. As things stood last week, we had some top 7 matchups. Virginia State Trojans rolled in at number 7. They were not ranked and jumped in there. We'll get to see this week, do they stay in the top 7? At number 6, you have Fayetteville State Broncos. At number 5, you had Kentucky State Thoroughbreds. At number 4, you had Benedict Tigers. At number 3, Johnson C. Smith Golden Bulls. At number 2, Virginia Union Panthers. At number 1, Albany State Golden Rams. Again, that was last week. Let's see what happens this week after this set of games were played. Move forward a little bit in terms of the scores as we get into it. We have number 1, you have Albany State over Fort Valley State 48-3. Albany State improves to 9-1, 8-0. Fort Valley State falls to 4-6, 4-4. The number 2 team was a top 7 matchup I alluded to with number 2 defeating number 7, 14-3. Defensive matchup there, if you would. Virginia Union improves to 9-1, 7-0. Number 7 was Virginia State falling to 6-4, 4-3. Getting into that number 3 matchup was Johnson C. Smith Golden Bulls. They improved to 9-1, 6-1 as they defeat the Livingston Blue Bears that fall to 5-5, 3-4, 26-21. Getting to number 4 in terms of our matchup is Benedict Tigers. That defensive matchup was a double overtime 16-13 game. Benedict Tigers defensively improved to 9-1, overall 7-1 in terms of the conference race, while Savannah State Tigers fall to 4-6, 3-5. Get us to number 5. Another team out of the SIAC. Kentucky State Thoroughbreds are 8-2, overall 7-1 as they defeat Lane, shuts them out 55-0 to make a statement. As the Lane Dragons mercifully end their season at 0-10, 0-8 in the conference race. Moving on to number 6 in terms of that was Fayetteville State. They improved to 6-4, 6-1, 31-21 after the Winston-Salem State was winning at halftime. The Rams in their season falling to 4-6, 2-5, and somehow Gaither finds a way to, with all the hurt, smile with through it all. So I give it to them. Let's get into what we're really here for is the top 7. Dropping out this week, not a team dropped out. So that means the top 7 are the same. We'll see if it stays the same in terms of what that looks like. Receiving votes, Allen Yellow Jackets improved to 5-5, closing out really solid on the season, improving to 5-3. Put themselves in a position to play an additional game to see if they can find a way to get in the playoffs. Credit to coaching over there with the Yellow Jackets getting it done. Bringing us to the second team outside of that, essentially number 9, Livingston Blue Bears finished the season at 5-5, 3-4, 130 points. And Edward Water Tigers that were number 1 during the season, particularly when they had that victory over Virginia Union, had a tough major division matchup that a lot of people at the time thought they were going to win. Didn't go their way against Bethune-Cookman, and we found out Bethune-Cookman actually is pretty good this year. Then they took that long road trip to Kentucky State, where we actually found out they were also pretty good this year. So you look at the schedule for Edward Waters, boy. They took on some teams. They got the big win in terms of Virginia Union, but tough losses, Bethune-Cookman, Kentucky State. Then they faced Benedict College that's up in the championship game. They lost to them in terms of that matchup. And then, as we said, closing out, they lost to Allen and found themselves in receiving votes. So credit to Edward Waters, highs and lows of a season. But let's get in that top 7. Virginia State Trojans, they stay there even though they had the tough loss, essentially losing to the number 2 team, 6-4, 4-3, 104 points. They were ranked 7th, so they should be number 7 also this week. Moving up to number 6 as we continue to move through. State Broncos stay at number 6, 6-4, 6-1, 146 points. You may see a refrain here as we move into the top 5. At number 5, we have Kentucky State. Thoroughbreds are 8-2, 7-1, 161 points. They stay in the 5th position. Bringing us to number 4, Benedict Tigers, 9-1, 7-1, 178 points. They continue to win, get it done. Defensive team, but they are getting the W's. They remain at number 4. Getting up to 9 wins on the season. Incredible season they've had thus far. Bringing us to number 3, Johnson C. Smith, the Golden Bulls, 9-1, 6-1, 2 first-place votes, 109-2. Some people believe they should be number 1. 3 first-place vote as they stay in that position. Stephen does not agree with that. At number 2, he did not vote him number 1. He's telling on himself. Virginia Union Panthers at 9-1, 7-0, 3 first-place votes, 204 points. They remain at the 2nd position. He's fine with that. At least he's not giving any early tails. At number 1, we have Albany State Golden Rams, 9-1, 8-0. 4 first-place votes, 206 points. They remain at number 1. Since we have Steve Gaither as the guest, we're going to ask him to give his thoughts first. Go ahead. What do you think in week number 10, Dr. Ville's HBCU Mid-Major Division football poll rankings? What are your thoughts?
You know what, Doc? I'm literally okay with all of this.
Yes.
I'm okay with all this. Yeah, I mean, VSU, last year they skated in the CIAA championship, even though they were the 4th best team. They lost to 3 others. They skated in. Didn't happen this year, but hey, 6-4, you can't argue with it. Fayetteville State.
Tell us how you really feel, Stephen.
Fayetteville State. I mean, they beat VSU. They are, they did their thing. Kentucky State, obviously very impressive. despite the smear campaign that's trying to go on with them. Benedict, obviously, again, who thought that, second year after Chennis Berry leaves, that they're, not that far off from, 9-1 record is Sterling. They're in the championship game. Johnson C. Smith has not Johnson C. Smithed it yet. So yeah, so they almost did. Livingstone kind of had him, and then the feed went out over there at Beatty's Ford Road.
Just saying.
The oldest HBCU football rivalry there is. So that happened, and then but nah, you can't. That's why first place vote. There's no way that you can give them a first place vote over Virginia Union. They beat them head to head handily, and then Albany State. The only loss is to FAMU. So.
Good stuff. Good breakdown. I appreciate you acknowledging that the voters in my mathematical algebraic equation works. With that being said, Wilton, what are your thoughts?
No, I kind of echo Steve. This poll is good. It's definitely solid. Only thing I would have switched. This is just me. I would have switched Johnson C. Smith and Benedict. That's just my opinion. Both are kind of had their trials and tribulations toward the latter part of the season. With Benedict, we know that they don't always score points consistently. And Johnson C. Smith, I've been one to say, has given me scares over the last couple of weeks. It took really the point of what Steve was talking about. He knows exactly what happened last year, and I had fears of it potentially happening this year, but it didn't. And I'm hoping that, with the championship, it may not happen, and Johnson C. Smith will take this ride off into the championship, but that remains to be seen. So, overall, though, this poll is solid.
The commissioner's trophy went to the SIC 4-3. But in seriousness, I think you got a point there. If the game is in South Carolina, Johnson C. Smith, Benedict, you still lean Johnson C. Smith?
Yes.
Obviously, if the game's in Charlotte, you're leaning Johnson C. Smith.
Yeah.
Okay. Steven, you agree or disagree?
He disagrees.
I'm not a complete hater. JCSU has, they've done a lot of good things this year. I think it'd be a really good game. The Benedict offense is, it can be spotty for me. So there's that. You look at a common opponent, and I think there's maybe a couple of them. I'm not sure Benedict played Morehouse, but I do know that both teams played Fayetteville State. Of course, Benedict got that 10-0 win over Fayetteville State, and they shut them out. Johnson C. Smith was able to go on the road to Fayetteville and get that dub. So, I think you're really kind of splitting hairs there. And both teams' losses are to the two teams that are at the top, right? I think that those. Yeah. So, I think that's about right. Benedict has a VUL win in there, though. A Morehouse win actually means a little bit more than a VUL win this year. So I'll give them that. So I would say that their schedule a bit stronger when you factor that in.
I like the way you brought in the schedule. Good job there. Charles, a partner in crime. What are your thoughts in terms of the top set?
Well, Doc, first and foremost, I'm reminded how petty Jackson State folks are because they wanted Florida A&M to receive votes in your mid-major poll. So I'm getting all that. But,
they are not eligible. That's not right.
I have to deal with that. But I think for the most part, I think it's you hit the nail on the head with this. I can't, I'm fighting,
He's trying to find a nit to pick, but
I'm fighting between Benedict and Johnson C. Smith, but I just the fact that Benedict has been, offensive be there sometimes, and sometimes you won't see him. So I can go with Johnson C. Smith there at 3. So.
Yeah, Johnson C. Smith has had the same issue. Even Gaither acknowledged that. Some points offensively look really good, other times not so much. So I think they're similar, which brings up the last question. I think we have the perfect person to talk about that because he knows the rich history, culture associated with CIAA, and for that matter, mid-majors. But I like all your opinions on this. Obviously, we have a championship game. And in this case, the winner we know goes to the playoffs because of the record where they sit. But MEAC SWAC, they've tied their teams to a bowl game. What would you think if you had a bowl game that potentially could face off with these 4 teams, probably going in this? I won't open it up for the next segment, but I'm guessing many of y'all are going to pick Albany State over Benedict and Virginia Union on Johnson C. Smith. What about a bowl, mid-major bowl matchup that would feature the Golden Rams against the Panthers? Charles, I'll let you start off this mix.
Golden Rams against the Panthers. Oh man, I like the Panthers in that. That would be a fun one to watch. I would lean on Virginia Union with that. It's hard for me to go against Curtis Allen on any matchup in that top 4.
I'm gonna save Steve for last because I know he doesn't like this. He likes the playoff, and the coach is not there for the bowl game. But I still want him to answer questions, so I'm gonna save him a little bit last to make him stew in this a little bit. Wilton, what are your thoughts in terms of a matchup between the Golden Rams and the Panthers?
I definitely think it would be, believe it or not, as much as we know that Virginia Union has a solid defense, I mean, I would be excited to see what Isaiah Knowles looks like going against Virginia Union's defense. Ooh, I would pay good money to see that.
Yeah, that would be one to watch.
Yeah. I would love to see that matchup, but I think I would probably lean a little bit more toward Virginia Union as well.
Well, between y'all two, I'm gonna tell John Grant, clip this. Make it work. And with that being said, let me go to Stephen Gaither. He had an article, hopefully you all saw this, but you might have missed it a couple of times back, where he was going back into some futuristic matchups of when we were having the Heritage Bowl and setting up what if these 2 teams would play, what would the outcome, doing some of the reframing and using AI and all the data metrics is out there, and he was telling you one. So I guess I'm gonna push this forward and do it on the other side and said, hey, what if we had the bowl? What were your thoughts between the Golden Rams and Panthers as they faced off? Who do you see?
Yeah, I like Albany State. I just don't know that they have seen a Curtis Allen. I've seen Curtis Allen up close, personal. If he's not on your team, it's very scary. Yeah. The man runs fast, he jumps high, and
the Superman.
Nightmares.
And if you got him, a little extra motivated, oh buddy. So but I do like that question that was thrown out about the facts in the Albany State team. The Virginia Union has given up some points now, especially in the passing game. We talk about the Edward Waters game and how that was back and forth. And in that same game that they ran all over Winston-Salem State did score 34 points. Nobody else has scored 34 against them except for Edward Waters, by the way. But anyway, when you get in a 16-point hole, that kind of didn't help you. Anyway, a passing game, a team with a really good passing game can do well. I know that when they played against, now again, Johnson C. Smith, they have a really good passing game with Durham, but he wasn't able to really, be explosive, and they only scored 10 points against Virginia.
Right.
So I think Isaiah Knowles, much like my guy Dalen Lee, they could possess some problems for Virginia Union, because I think there's some stuff to be had with that passing game, and that pass defense against Virginia Union. So
that would be a hell of a 1-2 matchup to kick things off if that was the work. The thing is, we do get a little bit of this. If both teams can win, they do have the contractual agreement that the CIAA will play the SIAC, open up the season in the Black College Hall of Fame football game. Yeah. So we get the tease. Obviously, there'll be some changes in. Hopefully, there ain't changes in the coaches, or maybe we do hope that, depending on if you're on the ledge this season.
Change isn't a bad thing.
Oh my God! Somebody get Steve.
Steve say he got the bag. I got the bag.
Yep.
Take the last break.
Change is not a bad thing.
Exactly. I agree with you. Let's take our last break, come back on the other side and have a little more fun. This time we're going to actually get into the matchups to see actually what they think as we kind of tease some things out. But they're going to give you the reason why they think a certain way they do in terms of the CIAA championship game. Again, we'll feature Johnson C. Smith, Golden Bulls. It will be in North Carolina. Maybe that's some home field advantage there in terms of home state, if you would, versus Virginia Union Panthers. Last year's champion, according to my mid-major poll rankings. Also went further in the playoffs, if you would, compared to Miles. And then you have Albany State Golden Rams revitalizing their program and facing a Benedict Tigers that is coming back to a championship game, third time in 4 years. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this last break, and we'll get right into that discussion.
Football fans, the Cricket Celebration Bowl is celebrating 10 years of crowning an HBCU national champion. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 13th as the MEAC and SWAC champions clash in Atlanta. Join us for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a state, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU.
With over 25 years of serving our communities, Destiny Financial Services, a division of Global Life, is here to help you and your family through difficult times. From cancer care to accidental industries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life, but you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call DFS at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at www.globelifeinsurance.com. That is 877-300-8269, or again, the website at www.globelifeinsurance.com.
ESPN Events presents Red Lobster Band of the Year, a title reserved for elite HBCU marching bands. A season-long competition that culminates in Atlanta on Friday, December 12th. Drum majors, percussion, drill, auxiliaries, musicality. All aspects will be examined by the toughest judges in the world of college bands. 4 will qualify for the big stage, where national champions will be crowned. Follow us on social media for rankings updates throughout the season. And join us in Atlanta on December 12th for event and ticket information.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab with none other than Charles Bishop, Wilton Jackson II, and Stephen A. Gaither. With that being said, let's go with the first matchup. We're going to start in the SIAC because they have the number 1 ranked team, at least according to the poll rankings this week, which is the Albany State Golden Rams that come in at 9-1, 8-0, 4 first place votes. They're facing number 4, the Benedict Tigers, that are 9-1, 7-1. The obvious thing out there in terms of this matchup is they played each other before. In terms of that matchup, Albany State really got it done in terms of defeating Benedict 31-3. The Tigers were not able to score that field goal until the end of the game. And overall, when you look at total yards, the Golden Rams had 493 and Benedict just had 217. Of that 493, 294 was in the air, but they also were able to rush just under 200 yards at 199. With that being said, Benedict couldn't rush but for 59 yards. They did put up 158 in the air, had a turnover in terms of in that game of what it looks like, but just one for 10 on third downs. So kind of setting up the stage for you. With that being said, let me go with you, Charles, first on this one. What are your thoughts in terms of this SIAC championship game? 1 versus 4. Both teams come in with 9 rankings, but they played with each other and it wasn't a contest. Can Benedict Tigers find a way to make this a game?
You know, when I started kind of looking at it, I thought if Benedict can sort of match what Savannah State did to Albany State, that was the thing. You know, in terms of looking at the teams Albany State played this season, really the loss is to a major team, Florida A&M. They struggled with Tuskegee, but, you know, they had the quarterback issues then with the injuries at quarterback. But Savannah State was the game that I kind of honed in on. That was a 21-18 game. But they were able to get to Albany State's quarterback. They were able to sack him 4 times. The question for me is, can they get to the quarterback? Can they create some turnovers and create some extra possessions? But, you know, all that being said, you know, best predictor of future performance is past performance. You got to go with Albany State in this.
Stephen Gaither, that game was in South Carolina, Columbia. So they were at home. This time they got to go on the road. Any chance they can find a way, a puncher's knockout? How do they get this done if they're able to win?
Well, I think the first thing that they have to do is get someone to go to Albany State's campus and throw like the greatest party ever. Go over to the hotels and, you know, the paper towel, TP them or something. I don't know. I just, you know, I mean, they were dominant before Albany State. And again, they were on the road. This time they're at home, championship. I know my good friend, Dr. Christine Kelly over there at Albany State University is, you know, making sure that, you know, that they are prepared and making a big time event for them. So the only way I can see it is maybe if, you know, besides the disruption in the space-time continuum, you know, maybe Albany State just doesn't take them seriously and, you know, just not quite sharp here and there. But I just don't see it. I think Albany State is a team on the mission in his 3rd season there. Quinn Gray has got that program rolling where they feel like they should be over in the SIAC and making a march towards the NCAA playoffs. So, yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it. Sorry to those Tigers.
I get it. Talking about Coach.
The other Rams will become the champions.
Exactly. Quinn Gray has gotten past that early controversy he's gotten, particularly if he can get this win here. So let me go to you, Wilton. From this perspective, does Benedict Tigers have to keep this in a certain range to make sure they don't lose a playoff spot, or are they good there, regardless of the outcome of this matchup?
They absolutely have to do that. This is the time of the year where everything matters when it comes to playing in a game, and you know whether win or loss, depending on how you lose a game, that always plays a factor in certain things. We see it even on the larger scale schools in the nation when it comes to football. But when I look at this game, you know that whole saying of it's hard to beat a team twice, but in this particular case, I just don't see Benedict having enough to beat Albany State. Just too dominant on offense with Albany State. We talked about Isaiah Knowles, what he's been able to do, the way they're able to get to the red zone and score. I mean, Benedict would have to absolutely have Darius Ocean play almost perfect. You know, they would have to be able to stop them in terms of even when Albany State gets to the red zone, they would have to force them into field goals, and then their offense, Benedict's offense, would have to be efficient to be able to keep up in terms of points. Seen Benedict struggle over the last several weeks, really, you know, through over the course of the season in terms of their offense being spotty. So I think this is definitely going to be a year where Albany State gets the championship.
Good stuff. That'll be interesting. Let's go to our next one. Let's go to the CIAA with the CIAA matchup championship game. It's a 2 versus 3. Number 3, Johnson C. Smith Golden Bulls come in at 9-1 and 6-1. At number 2, Virginia Union Panthers, 9-1 and 7-0. You see that Johnson C. Smith, the Golden Bulls, have one loss. Well, guess what? That one loss was to this Virginia Union Panthers. in terms of that matchup. It was in Richmond in terms of that matchup. 28-10. I will say this: it was just 14-10 at half. So maybe there's something to lean on. But I'm gonna say Stephen A. last to really give a breakdown. So I'm gonna go back to you, Wilton. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup? I think you kind of teased this out a little bit, but give us a little more detail in terms of what you're seeing there. I will say this before I give it to you to give you some more indicators. Total yards, Johnson C. Smith put up 298. Virginia Union had 336. Of that, passing yards for Johnson C. Smith was 193. Virginia Union was able to put up 136, but Virginia Union does what they do, got most of it on the ground for 200 yards, while the Golden Bulls did rush for 105 in terms of that matchup. Third down efficiency, if you would, Johnson Smith was 4 of 12, while Virginia Union was just 2 of 8 in terms of what that looks like themselves. Wilton, what are your thoughts in this matchup? Which direction are you going?
Doc, you just gave it. You just gave me everything I needed to know, and even for those who don't know, but they should know by now. When Steve said in a couple of segments ago, when he said, like, I've seen Curtis Allen up close and in personal. Now, I ain't seen him up close and in person, but he has. But from what I've seen on my TV screen and on my screens on social media, dude is a dog. And you just outlined, Dr. Cavil, like what he was able to do even against a Johnson C. Smith team that is strong defensively and is pretty strong in stopping the run. But again, when you have a Curtis Allen, it's a totally different story. So I expect Virginia Union to still run the ball behind Curtis Allen. If they basically control early downs with the run, and when they get into the red zone, if they're able to score touchdowns, I don't really see them being able to – I don't see – Johnson C. Smith being able to slow them down consistently enough. And with Johnson C. Smith, in terms of like the inconsistency sometimes we've seen with them on offense, I just think it'll be a little bit more for Virginia Union. I think Virginia Union gets the win in this game.
Yes, HBCU Game Day put up the D2 Derrick Henry for a reason, huh? With that, Charles, what are your thoughts?
You know, I guess the question for me with Johnson C. Smith is, although Kevin Durham is a great quarterback in terms of him throwing the football, I think their best opportunity against Virginia Union is Bobby Smith. I mean, 37 attempts this past week for Johnson C. Smith. I want to see something like that against Virginia Union. Can you get him up and going? Can you get Johnson C. Smith running game up and going? And just limit Virginia Union's opportunities. I mean, we know Curtis Allen is going to get the football. It doesn't matter. You can stack the box. You can do whatever it is you want to do against him, but he's going to get the football. He's going to get his carries. The big thing for me is keeping him off the field. Can you control the clock? Can you keep the chains moving? Can you score when you get close? And you do that with a hard running game. And just that stat jumped out for me, 37 attempts this past week with Bobby Smith. I think that's going to be that could be a key to victory for Johnson C. Smith, but I can't go against Curtis Allen. Virginia Union takes us.
Well, we saved the best for last. Stephen Gaither, break down the CIAA championship. I know you're going to do more detail on your show, but let's do your thoughts on this CIAA championship game. You're on mute, I guess.
Now, you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be
taking pause. Did you do that?
So bear with me. You guys can hear me?
Yeah, you do. Go ahead. Okay.
Yeah. So so you talked about this matchup. Okay. First off, this is the first time that Johnson C. Smith has been in the CIAA championship game. The last time it was on microfilm, right? So that's been 1972. It's been a long time coming for them. Virginia Union, obviously, they're looking for the three-peat. Had a chance to, see Virginia Union up close and personal several times this year. But when you talk about run defense, just all things being equal, the run defense for these two teams is about the same on the year. If you look at just the stats,
Johnson C. Smith is allowing 3.6 yards per rush and 9 touchdowns. And VUU is doing 3.5 and 7 touchdowns. So, in theory, that theory that was just put out about keeping the ball away from Curtis Allen, it seems plausible. But I said if all things were equal, and all things are not equal. The young man in Smith is a good back, but he's no Curtis Allen. Prove me wrong, but he's no. Curtis Allen is just a different animal. He's a grown man. I think, these two schools, I know you talked about as well. This is in North Carolina, but actually, I went ahead and did the math because I travel quite a lot. Okay. It's only a 7-minute difference between getting from to Durham from Charlotte and Richmond. It's pretty central. So I think at the end of the day, Virginia Union, their championship experience and pedigree, you can't go against it. But I also keep feeling like maybe, just maybe, this Johnson C. Smith team is a team of destiny. When my guy Wally Pitt said he was going to follow Johnson C. Smith, I'm like 3 years ago, I'm like,
why?
Okay. Slowly but surely they built. And then last year, they went ahead and they Smithed. And I've talked about that all the time. And I am, because I got to keep them down here. And we got to stay up here. Right now we're down here. And I don't want to hear them talking because they never won before. Anyway, I think Johnson C. Smith might be a team of destiny. Maybe.
It wouldn't come as a surprise.
But I'm gonna go Virginia Union. Yeah. Sorry, Smith.
Let me ask you this as we start to close this out. I'm gonna start with you. Which would be a bigger upset? CIAA or in the SIAC? Go ahead, Stephen.
CIAA.
Okay.
I still think CIAA. I think they're two-time defending champs. So
good stuff. Charles, big upset.
Yeah, I think I got to go Virginia Union. If Virginia Union gets knocked off, that would be the big upset to me.
Wilton Jackson, the second big upset.
I'm gonna complete the trio. Definitely saying that if Virginia Union lost, it would be something.
I'm a little surprised at that. Good stuff. Great job. Last thing here, just want to acknowledge that Kentucky State 8 will be finished as they will face up against Shorter. They have them at home, 2 p.m. kickoff in Frankfort, Connecticut. Also, don't forget that Allen University finished 4th, so they will host Erskine College out of the Carolina conference there. Stephen, I'm going to give you your final thoughts on this. What were your thoughts in terms of commission? You got the interviewing, putting this together early. We got the news and we put it out there in the HBCU space, and people may have forgot. But generally, how do you ask it this way? What were your thoughts in terms of the decision to put the conference in a position to create this matchup such that they could push forward and potentially have more teams in the playoffs? What were your thoughts on that?
I think that it was a move that was incredibly a lot of foresight. Again, the HBCUs in the playoffs, even at the Division II level, we've had some long spells where teams just weren't getting in. That's why you saw, the Pioneer Bowl at a certain point and different things like that. Fighting to get their respect is always tough, especially down in that Region 1, where traditionally the Gulf South, which Delta State is a part of, was really kind of running roughshod. So, they have always had the advantage, but again, I credit Commissioner Dr. Holloman as well as Commissioner McWilliams Parker over there at CIAA of really having a lot of foresight and thought. They pushed for the week 0, which we have in D2, and I'm sorry to coach, but it is week 0. It's its own week 0. And then also getting this deal with Conference Carolinas as well. That took a lot of foresight, just knowing, hey, we've had years where we thought we had multiple teams that could get in the playoffs, and then they haven't because we have this. There's always been this debate about whether the team should keep the 10-game schedule plus the championship, or go to the 11, like which has been conventional. But they're able to still do it their way, keep the championship game, which works for both HBCUs, but then also give those other schools a chance. And for the Gulf South, a conference that's used to having its way, being the SEC of Division II, they're having a deal. They've been up top so long, they are not having that foresight to deal, or not even really just what's happening in the now, to deal with what's happening with them, where they're having their best leaving to go to Division I, and then they're having the Conference Carolina split off and take some of their teams too. There's only 4 teams in that league, so I know a lot of people were placing blame on Kentucky State, but there were contracts involved. I mean, there was always the chance that Kentucky State could be in the SIC championship game, and that was literally a chance. And of course, they were going to go to that, no matter if this game. That didn't happen, and it wasn't for sure until Saturday when things played out the way that they did. So kudos to the commissioners of our D2 HBCU leagues, as well as our D1s. I think they're really doing an outstanding job of having foresight and also shaping the rules and the legislation of Division II. They have a lot. Their voices are rising quite a bit. So, yeah.
Excellent point. Perfect way to close it. Thank you for listening inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta, the Dean of HBCU Sports, come from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with none other than Charles Bishop, Wilton Jackson II, and Stephen A. Gaither, a Ram New Day.
It's Jay. A is the other guy. The other Ram.
That's pretty good. The other Ram.
The other one.
Even Jay Gaither. I messed that up. Got too excited about the other guy, which I haven't watched in a while after he made me mad. And great article you did in terms of
great article, Steve.
I don't know how I screwed that up from that perspective. Maybe I have that still on my mind. But with that being said, again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Ville's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, every Tuesday and Thursdays. We'll be back on Thursday to talk about the next weekend in week 11 for the Major Division. I'm glad that you gave that little twist of arm to Brian and let him know, make sure he gets it correct. As I said, last week he finally got it correct on Sunday. I was proud of him. Thursday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, and Sunday at 9 a.m. when we unveil one of our next Major Division poll rankings. We look forward to Thursday as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. That's DrKenyattaCavil. That's Threads, Facebook, and Instagram. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Facebook. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
Wilton?
Lecture.
Stephen J.
Dismissed.